Welcome to Whisky Wednesday. Let's go!
Give it. Give it. Give it. Give it to me. Me. Give me.
So, we're here. Whisky Wednesday is back. And back with a new backdrop, which is still, as we speak, still taking shape, but the basics of it's there. It's good to be back. I've been toying on the idea of bringing this back for ages now. I've had a nice break from it all. And yeah, I'm ready to go into Whisky Wednesday version 2. This is brand new, episode 1, start of 2026, start as a mean to go on, doing things slightly differently to what we was used to before, but the basics are going to be roughly the same. But I hope you like the backdrop, a bit different. Now, what we'll do is start the day, or not the day, the episode, with some of this. Now, I'm not a fan of blended whiskey, but one of my customers today, who is a fan of whiskey, said, "Have you tried White Mackay?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And he said, "Well, I've got a little bit left in my bottle. Would you like to take it home?" And I said, "Well, it is Whisky Wednesday," which he thought was really funny. And there's a fox in the garden. Just heard it. Well, it is Whisky Wednesday. That'd be cool. I'll try it on Whisky Wednesday. So, Mr. Wilson, thank you very much indeed. We're going to try this for the very first time. So here goes. Oh, crikey, that's well smooth. There that poured out. I'll put that on the side, out the way. And we can say, cheers to everybody. Here's to some more successful Whisky Wednesday. Oh, it's not bad. Not bad at all. It's sharp. But yeah, it's really cool. So I'm going to just quickly take you around the backdrop. I'm not going to do this every week, every episode. But I just want to do a couple of shout outs. More than anything, there is a fox barking in the garden. Cool. Right, okay. Now, Whisky Wednesday. This man, 365, this was his idea. It wasn't his idea for me to do it, but I was doing some regular, a few years ago now, I think, doing some regular whiskey-orientated chats about precious metals. And he said, "Well, why don't you do a Whisky Wednesday?" And that was born. So I thought it was very fair for my whiskey corner to have something to remember 365 by for suggesting such a damn good idea. And now we're on version 2. Got a couple of pictures, keeping the background quite neutral, not too much going on. Love these pictures. They're really cool. Been there, drunk that. Thought that was quite apt for a Whisky Wednesday, and thought this was really cool. Minted. Not that I'm minted, wish I was. And yeah, these are all the people. All these people sent me poker chips when I used to do a lot more. I don't know what to say really. A lot more interaction with community members. But these guys that you can see here will stay there. And if anyone wants to send me anything, poker chip wise, by all means do. You get featured on my cushions. Well, not cushions, covers. That might all change as we go on. Lovely Christmas present from my children this year. Well, that looked really cool. Very cool indeed. Obviously a whiskey barrel. Who sent me that? Oh, it was Cobra, wasn't it? Whoever sent me that. And yeah, my homemade stand, which I put some silver out tonight, which is cool because tonight it's all going to be about silver, but we'll come on to that in a minute because I've got a very special mention. Some of you BDI people may have seen these little items down here, which I shall pick up and show you in a second. Some special people need to be mentioned. Let's just get them to one side. And we can have a look at them and mention the people behind it all, which I thought was really cool. Now, someone who regularly watched my videos and I built up quite a friendship with, this guy called Stephen, God's money, bless him, who sadly passed away last year. It's taken me quite a while to talk about the fella on a video. Yeah, I think we got fairly close, to be fair, over the time. Just as friendship, we used to speak to each other a hell of a lot. I loved his interaction with his dad, bless him, when his dad was around. Yeah, I got on quite well with the pair of them. And yeah, we built up a nice relationship. So it was quite a shock when I found out that he passed away. But I think we will do a special 1 week, maybe a live, and dedicate it to Stephen. For sure. But I'm very privileged because this is the guy I'm on about. He's still, obviously his channel's still live on YouTube. I'm going to put all the links in the description of this video. But that was his sticker, God's money. Didn't used to be that. But he's quite well versed and spoken on his beliefs, which was cool. But that was his sticker, so that's always going to be in my backdrop. This was his very first poker chip. I believe he changed it a bit later on. I'm not sure, can't remember now. But this was his. I'm quite privileged to have this. He came up with the idea of poker chips in the UK at an early stage. I think he was one of the first. And this was his first one. And he sent me that, which I was quite privileged. He had a channel round as well. I believe this was made by Pit Bullion, which he very kindly sent me. Don't think there's a lot of those around either. So what a privilege to have as a very sweet memory. Now, a little while ago, I was contacted by Benson Coins. He sent me a message on Discord and he said, Andy, we've been running in Stacker Social. They've been running they wanted to run an auction, and apparently himself and Louis Silver, so Louis Silver makes some lovely stuff, poured silver, absolutely gorgeous, well worth checking out. Anyway, Benson decided to have something made with Louis Silver in to remember Stephen, and he also thought, he'd auction it, and the proceeds, I believe, I hope I get this right, went to cancer research. Please correct me in the description. a description in the comments if I got that wrong. But yeah, so they had an auction on Stacker Social apparently, and a guy called Zeus. Again, I'll anyone I mention I'll put in the description of the video. A guy called Zeus won it. I can't remember how much he paid for it. And this is what Louis, courtesy of Benson's idea, come up with, which is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now Zeus won the auction, and he reached out to Benson, I believe, to say, well, he didn't really know Stephen, God's money. Look at that class. Louis Silver. That looks absolutely stunning. Reached out to Benson and said, Benson, well, I've won this. I'd like it to go to someone that knows Stephen. Now, I'm not in Stacker Social, and Benson very kindly thought of me, and he reached out to me and he said, would you like to receive it? And I said, yeah, for sure. You know, what a lovely piece to have in my collection, but as a lovely reminder of my friendship with Stephen, which if you ever notice any of my videos, all my blog videos, there's a little thing in the description that says, I miss you, mate, and that's Stephen. That's my little dedication to him. But we'll talk about Stephen another time. As I said, we'll do a live evening for him, bless him. But yeah, what Zeus, what a nice thing to do. I can't thank you enough. This is my way of thanking you personally. Yeah, what an amazing nice guy. Benson, can't thank you enough, and Louis Silver for putting this together. And yeah, this will be in my backdrop. I need to find a proper place for it, but we'll find a proper place for it. I might see if I can get a little case or something. I don't know. We'll come up with something. But I thought that was going to be. It would be really cool to have it in the backdrop. And thank you, gentlemen. And if any ladies were involved in putting that together, I really appreciate it. Really do. And I'm going to keep that out as a reminder for him. And there you go, dude. I know you didn't drink. You used to once upon a time. Cheers, buddy. Cheers, Zeus. Cheers, Louis Silver. Cheers, Benson. You're a gentleman. I've got to sneeze. Oh dear. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Like all of my Whisky Wednesdays, everything's left in. So there we go. There's the intro to the brand new Whisky Wednesday. So I want to make Whisky Wednesdays a little bit more of a chilled out session, me just having a chat with my thoughts, almost like an extended blog in a way. But I've been toying on the idea of bringing this back, obviously, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? And going forward, I'd like to get some people on, just for a change, a little bit more than what I used to before. But one of my subscribers, Josh McDonald Bullion, said, it'd be really cool to listen to your deeper thoughts on your investments. So I sat there and I thought, well, yeah, it's a good idea, because then the blog, the Whisky Wednesday could complement the blogs in a way. So I thought, yeah, let's do that. And so tonight, as we're in silver fever, I thought, I put some silver out, sit back, chill out, and just go through my journey thoughts, really. Why silver? All those questions. Why silver? Why did I do it? What have I had any ups and downs with it? Talk about community, talk about me, and my journey in a way, and what my thoughts are, and why I'm possibly a little bit different to most other YouTubers in the precious metals marketplace, really. So yeah, here we go. Let's do that. Let's do that. Silver, silver. Why? I think over 4 years ago now, I through a set of circumstances, I was in a position where I had some income, some money, some wonderful fiat currency, yuck, and I had an opportunity to look into maybe doing a bit of investment. Never done anything like that before in my life. So, to cut a long story short, some people have heard this before, but if you haven't, the very first thing I did was, like we all do, jumped on YouTube. I think I put money in, something like that, investing, and loads of stuff come up. But what I did notice were some stuff about Bitcoin, and because I've got a bit of a Bitcoin story from 12 years ago, so it sort of grabbed my attention. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about Bitcoin, but because of getting into knowing about Bitcoin, that led me to money, and that indirectly led me to gold and silver in the early days, and it's become quite an important part of my investment journey. The three of them have, but I thought I'd talk about the silver bit today, the lovely shiny stuff, which is absolutely gorge. Gorge. Who wouldn't want this? Shiny, silvery stuff that sounds absolutely gorgeous. When you hear it clinking against each other, I know a few people will go, "What are you doing?" But yeah, if it wasn't for Bitcoin money, learning about Bitcoin, and then learning about money at the same time, I probably maybe wouldn't be sitting here now with this lovely shiny stuff in front of me. So that was my intro, and and that's why I bang on about money so much, because when we learn about money, it very quickly takes you down the avenue of learning about sound money and the history of sound money, and how the two, have been important to understand. So that was my intro. In the early days, it just become, I think I might have bought my daughter a couple of pieces. Then I bought some, and then I bought some more, and then I bought some more, and then I bought some more. And probably I would say in that first year, I was probably more into accumulating weight. I very quickly come across 365's videos. I think in the early days it was 365, Future Investments, Backyard Bullying in the background. I didn't watch a lot of his stuff. I don't know why, but I didn't. But he was there. And then I met Cobra, because Cobra started doing his videos just, I think, about a month before mine. I'll come on to that in a minute. and the stat collector, and that was it really. There's probably loads of people out there secretly or not secretly collecting silver in whatever way, shape or form, but there was not a lot of people doing it on YouTube and showing their stuff. So yeah, I met Cobra, and that was shortly after I started doing some videos myself. I was into photography. This is why I'm in a studio at the moment. I was building a photography business up at the time, as well as trying to do my plumbing and heating job and everything else. But I thought, oh yeah, that'd be really cool, and then come up with creative precious metals, CPM obviously. And yeah, my sort of interactory journey obsession started, and really silver was that stepping stone. Not that I really understood what I was doing, other than I want to stack. I want to get some weight in a stack, and I think because I'm not one just to sit there and vegetate in the evenings, I continued my learning curve and become absolutely obsessed with learning more and more about money, investing, and still am to a degree. And that's how this whole ball game started. And silver, I've had so many ups and downs with my silver journey, which we'll come to. But yeah, silver, because of its price, I think spot was, I don't know, £17, £16, something like that. You could get the old Britannias. Oh, this is 2014. You can pick these up relatively, in today's terms, reasonably cheap, albeit I never look at money and having money as being cheap. It's living a privilege to have it. But I think we was paying £21, £22 through the dealers, 23, 24 penny more was buying. Obviously there was a higher premium stuff. Absolutely fanatical about the Perth Mint. I was paying a little bit more, but that was my introduction, and it became a bit of an obsession. I become really good friends with Cobra. I decided to do a little bit more on my CPM channel. But fundamentally, I never stop, and I've never stopped learning, which is why I go on about it, because I know that that's had a influence on my journey. This ain't bad, Mr. Wilson. Well, there you go, it's all gone. Won't have any more than that, obviously, because the bottle's empty and I'm not going to open any more. I'm not too busy at the moment. But yeah, because I've seen by investing into me and my learning, it's helped me understand more about money and where this beautiful stuff sits in with it all, and especially with what I'm trying to achieve personally, which has transpired into my son doing something. These are actually some of his silver coins because they were easy to get hold of for tonight. Not all of them, not just some of them. Yeah, the learning bit has been fundamentally the biggest thing that I can say has helped me personally. But going back to the silver bit, yes, totally obsessed. Totally obsessed. And to the degree that I believe I got a bit too carried away, especially buying higher premium collectible stuff, albeit they're beautiful and lovely. But But as my investment process has progressed, I would say that maybe I should have waited a little bit before I got into that, because as I know today, money's precious, and when you're investing, you really need to be able to put, it's my opinion, everyone obviously do what you want to do, but for me, I've realised that I should put as much into my investments that I can afford, in a very strategic way. Now, don't get me wrong. my collections outside of bullion, standard bullion, are beautiful, and they will be with me for a long time, hopefully, and definitely something that my children are very aware of, that they can enjoy at some point in their lives too. But as for the stack, the weight stack, the standard bullion stuff, yeah, I should have probably paid a little bit more attention and got that money into that value. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, especially where we look at things today, although that is not, in my opinion, everything. But hindsight's a beautiful thing, and yeah, maybe I could have been a little bit more shrewd and clever with my investment process, but I didn't know any different, and I didn't know, exactly in those early days how this whole silver thing was, going to play out. If it is a thing, I don't know, but it seems to be at the moment. We'll get onto that. So yeah, that was in my early days, buzzing. Yeah, as I said, the community on YouTube was fairly small. Yeah, it was really cool. Really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure that I wanted to do it in the first place, but here I am 4 years later, still doing it, which is mad, really. And it's changed so much. So yeah, I probably for 3 years, as far as silver's concerned, just bought stuff that I wanted before the prices went mad, as and when I could afford it. My whole investment journey has changed so much. I am just not a silver investor, stacker, collector, whatever you want to call yourself. I've diversified into quite a few things as my learning curve has changed over time. So I'm not exactly just stuck in one product, which is cool. I'm a big believer in that. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. But it suits me. But it takes you end up going on, when you do that, you end up sort of moving away from certain things at certain times and concentrating on other things. People call it balancing your portfolio. It's a very, very posh word for it all, but it's true. But I've never been able to get away from this stuff. There's something about it. I've often, when I was talking to Cobra, or when we speak, we get onto silver and we both agree. What is it about this stuff? This come from Stephen Stack. Bless him. He had some beautiful pieces that he collected over the times. But yeah, getting my conversations with Cobra, yeah, whenever we talk about silver, and it's just, if you want to call it value metal term, we always go, yeah, that's what it is, but what is it about silver? And I don't know what it is. I think it's very personal for people. For me, it's not only affordable out of mostly the precious metals out there, it just looks cool. It looks cool in the hand, and artistically, a lot of the mints over time have really banged in some lovely designs, which I don't know, it's a bit of a trap, I suppose, but you fall in love with the designs, and you have a tendency to forget about, oh, it's just an ounce of silver, really, if it's an ounce that you've bought. And then you end up paying premiums, then you get wrapped up, oh God, it's got low mintage, oh, it might be worth more money, and all blah, 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 all that stuff. Which I think is just part of everybody's journey, maybe, I don't know. It's certainly a part of mine. So yeah, I got suckered into that. Not that I'm regretting any of that, and I'm really pleased I did. But that's the attraction of silver. It's affordable. That's debatable now, but we come to that. It was affordable. Some people refer to it as the poor man's gold. I get that, I see that. But in true reality, it's a great savings mechanism, for sure, and it's a great way to get into stacking. Even if you can only afford the smaller pieces, especially nowadays, you know, you can get quarters, tenths, even down to a gram. Nice little 1/10 Brit. I'm so sorry I'm handling all my silver, but this is my handling silver, although some of it's my son's, but he doesn't mind. So yeah, that's basically what I did until I start. But okay, this is important. But it was always something at the back of my mind, because I was learning more about money. There was this thing at the back of my mind saying, I can't get away from this sound money thing. I can't get away from inflation. I need to learn more about inflation. I need to know, what's this term, money debasement? So yeah, and regardless of whether you was into, you know, what I classify as sound money, and that's the old historical gold and silver, and the new Bitcoin. You know, it doesn't matter what route you go down, you end up learning about what is true value, what is money, how is it any different, is it the same? You know, why is it called sound money? Why is it a hard asset? There's all this terminology which is bounced around all over the place, and it took me a while to get my head around, and I'm still doing now because new terminology is coming out. But I never got away from it because I was finding it very useful, and that led me to. I did a post on it a little while ago. Me and Cobra did a collab together. We were just talking stuff, really. He was talking about his stack, I was talking about mine. We had a bit of a giggle doing it, but there was some good stuff in there, and we actually predicted. Yeah, we actually predicted during that video. We did a few predictions, but one of them was where do we see silver in 2 years' time? Tells you how old that video was. It was 2023, I think. But what would be the price that silver would hit in 2025? And we had until the end of 2025. All that time, 365 days, the highest price, the person that got closest, I think Cobra said £40, which was, that's interesting really, because when you look back, in true reality, you know, when spot was at, I don't know, probably 22, 23 pounds maybe, when we was talking about this, £40 is like, wow, you know, if you even thought about, you know, your silver 1 ounce coins back in the day, I say back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, would be £40 when you're paying £24-25 for them. You're like, happy days, man, happy days. You know, it seemed a bit far-fetched. So I think he went for 40. And I turned around and said 55. Now, why did I say 55? Now, because I had put so much time into learning about money and what sound money was, and if that the dollar money was going to be debased at the rate it was. Don't forget we'd had COVID in 2020, all the money printing that went on, all the inflation that happened. I would, like, at the back of my mind, and I think it comes out in the video, I actually said, let me have a good think about this. And I actually thought to myself, there's a bloody good possibility at some stage, maybe sooner rather than later, not that I knew, obviously I didn't have a crystal ball, but at some stage, and I just felt that possibly it could be, within the next 5 years at least, 5 to 10 years, this, bearing in mind was in 2023, that, if everything does start to go pear-shaped and the debt keeps going up and money's just debased like there's no tomorrow. When I say that, it's like the purchasing power of whatever currency of the country that you're in, the medium of exchange that you use, then there's a good possibility at some point something could happen to precious metals. And I always believed that silver, when you looked at what it was, what it stood for, had a chance to move higher in value. And I hate that because I'm not married to that concept, but I am to a degree. And so that's when I went, well, £55, there's because I just had a feeling like if it was going to happen, it could happen in the next 2 years. What would that value be? And I just went 55. Now, yes, a bit of hopeism there, obviously. I had no idea really, but I did have a construct of an idea to be able to sit there and think about it and go, what if this, what if that, what's the likelihood of this? The things I say in my blogs about putting a risk assessment to your strategy of investing. There's upside, there's downside, obviously, but all I could see was upside, just like Cobra could with his £40. That was this is almost doubling. And lo and behold, yeah, as luck would have it, we ended the year on about 58, 59, I think. So yeah, I wasn't far away at all. Does that make me clever? No. Does it make me lucky? Probably. But I had an educated guess, and that was better than a totally uneducated, because I could have said anything. I could have said 25, I could have said 30, I could have said 100, I could have said it would be down, anything, So that's a very good, important lesson for me to learn. I've said it on my blogs quite a few times, you got to look at that risk, and if you're going to invest your hard-earned money, especially now. So that was amazing, and that's a good cross-reference between doing some work. Yeah, I won the bet, but truly it's given me more confidence to listen to myself and keep educating myself. So that was cool. Then we go into 2024. Obviously the community is expanding. There's more and more people getting involved in YouTube, creating videos, stacking. 365 is constantly trying to build that community up. Cobra was doing auctions, and feel very privileged to be at the back of a lot of those conversations to his ideas going forward, and I'm really pleased he's successful with doing that. I think he's successful. He seems to enjoy it, so that's really cool. Obviously, his Stat Collector's built his channel up, and then we get people like Coin Noob, come on the scene. You got Siler Soundman, you got Blistering Barnacles. There's loads around now, and you know, Craven, Diaxis, Benson's, blah 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 blah, loads, and some that have come and gone. That's all part of the journey. Some that have stayed, and you've got communities built now, which I've been a part of, not a part of anymore. Still class myself as being a bit of a community person, but my journey sort of really probably in 2023 just took a real big towards the back end of 2023 and through 2024 it become my obsession with investing become more and more and more, and silver's never not been a part of it. Never. It's now become a core base thesis. I've been very fortunate to be able to build a stack, and I've learned that by having a stack, doesn't matter how big or small it is, it's important to have it, because if you've got it, you've always got it. The ups and downs of it has been really interesting because I think it was during 2024 I started to learn more about inflation and the effects of inflation on our currency, and I started to look at silver and think, is this what everyone says it is? What's value mean? What is its value? And I was beginning to realise that there was, for me, a bit of a disconnect between silver as a coin, as a bullion piece, as a precious metal. I was beginning to see a disconnect when I started to look at it as a currency fiat value, and that was because I couldn't really see my 1 ounce silver coin as the spot price or the premium price or whatever, if you sold it, price. I started to disconnect looking at my silver as money, as a value in fiat currency. That was a game changer for me in my whole investment process. Because as soon as I started to do that, I realised that now the importance of stacking a precious metal that had potential, that importance was to make sure I keep it, add to it, so that one day, if it was of value for me to do something with it outside of fiat currency, then all my efforts would have been worthwhile. And that was a game changer, absolute game changer, because I started to look at everything outside in the big wide world as how many silver coins is that? And then when I started to do that, it was very easy for me to start to see, oh crikey. And I'll give you an example. An example would very easily be, I will start to look at the price of things in our fiat currency, quickly using spot as a guideline, quickly refer that as a ratio to what a 1 ounce coin silver piece was, and I begin to really quickly see that prices of stuff was going up. I needed more silver, excuse me, in whatever denomination, to buy stuff. You know, a bottle of whiskey. Well, it's stupid to say a bottle of whiskey, but we use a bottle of something that maybe it was £100. Then all of a sudden, that was £120. So I needed more. Like, we convert that over to silver. Say that was, I don't know, 3 silver ounces. This is all crude stuff. I'm trying to do the maths in a simple way. 3 silver. Now it was 4. So I needed more silver to buy something. So that thing, whoa, what's going on here? So that very quickly started to show that our currency was being debased very quickly, especially since 2020. And that reinforced an idea that built up to the end of 2024 that was going into my head. Well, hold on a minute. There's something going on with silver, because in theory that should be going, I shouldn't, if anything, I should be at least the same, or if it's beating the inflationary prices of products and services, then it should be less. Exactly what Bitcoin's done over the last 16, 17 years, as a good example. You need less Bitcoin to buy stuff now, because that's increased in value. So I was thinking, whoa, what's going on? Why silver? And then that took me down a rabbit hole of looking into silver, banks, more the money side of stuff. And then I began to realise that, why is this being held down? And then through a series of learning, towards the back end of 2024, I said to my son, this is weird, this it can't keep being suppressed. It really can't. It doesn't make sense. We're going into a more technical, energy friendly world. That's your future, boy. It's probably my grandson's future, and a lot of you youngsters, your future. And technology is using more and more and more. And we was talking about it for weeks. And we said, ooh, this could blow up at some point, when the true value of silver starts to be reconciled for what it is. Then maybe we might, this is really undervalued. And that's a very short story, but we did our, it was a bit of an educated guess. It was a very good educated guess, to be fair. I ended up selling some of my silver stack, and we together invested into silver, into a silver ETF, which was and has been an amazing trade. And we did that just at the very beginning of 2025. So, and that was all down, the whole reason, it's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Yes, getting back to the prediction of £55, the reason why it's been fantastic is, yes, it's you know, it's well gone up in value. I think we're at something like 100 and, I think yesterday I was at 100, almost 130%, 140% up, which was amazing. And the reason why we did an ETF was we wanted to be, well, part of that conversation, it's really funny actually, part of that conversation we said, well, is there an easy way to, is there a quicker way to invest in silver and get it close to spot, that was all part of the homework that we were doing. And would it be an easy way to get out if we needed to get out before we thought that possibly at that stage we were thinking, well, at some point it's going to explode and go through the roof, whatever that means. But we need to get out just in case it all comes back down again. So we found an ETF through a through a company that we use, and yeah, we've done okay. But what I'm trying to say here is, I would never have done that if I hadn't learned more about money, inflation, silver, what its real value is, what its possible value could be. Obviously, I didn't know about how, this could be used as a weapon for control and power. That's a bit naive from my point of view, because that's obviously should have gone into the equation. But as I said, I didn't have a crystal ball, but we did our homework. Now, it could have gone horribly wrong. I don't think it would have gone madly wrong, because we was buying it just at spot, really. But we could have lost a bit of money if nothing had happened. But no, it's gone the other way, like the physical value has as well. But yeah, getting back to the point, the whole point was to make that educated guess work. Was in the words. It was educated. And hence we are seeing something going on in the markets at the moment that, none of us probably thought would be as ferocious as what it is. So yeah, that learning's been massive for me personally, and it's been really cool for my son to learn that process too, especially at his age. It's ridiculous. So, and that's all because we believed in this, not the pretty patterns on it, albeit the pretty patterns are lovely. I can't doubt that, but it's because I've got it now. This is another thing about having physical content silver. It's a great thing to always bear in mind, because you've got it, and I'm doing this with videos and talking about it, so you get to hold it, so you can't forget it. I keep a piece in my pocket, can't forget it. Every time I go out, I think of it as, if I was to spend silver today, what would I get in comparison to my fiat currency, and how much of that time and energy am I putting into, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. So having the physical is just so important to give you that constant reminder that that it means something, and it has a historical value, and it's used in all sorts of chess games and wars, and go down the history of it, man. It's nuts. But to hold it is a good reminder of everything that you're learning. It really is. It's fantastic. So yeah, the paper trade is the paper trade, but the physical, it's been massive. So 2025, I think I stopped doing my CPM channel for a while. I got a little bit disheartened with a few things, and I probably needed to take a break, to be fair. I didn't quite, and again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I wasn't quite taking some of the content that I was seeing, and to be fair, I wasn't overly liking it. It wasn't ringing true to me. I started to see a different side to what happens when people, and I'm just as guilty of it, and I have been just as guilty in the past. I'm trying hard not to be that, but you can see when value and money and that fiat mindset starts to encroach in what you're doing. You see people change, and you know, I'm 60 years of age now, and I just sort of wanted to just take a step back a little bit and let people be what they're doing and doing what they're doing without sort of being an arsehole, I suppose. I think that's the greatest way to put it. I think for myself personally, getting back to, I don't need practice of being an arsehole. I think my wife tells me I'm an arsehole enough over the years. But yeah, I think sometimes when money gets involved, when we look at this whole fiat game that's played out, what it represents, it can bring out the best in us and it can bring out the bloody worst in us as well. And I felt myself getting a little bit sort of, I used to talk to Stephen about this quite a bit. He'd been in around the online community far longer than me. You see it happen in America, and we've all got egos, we've all got ideas, but for me, I just need to check my own ego and just thought, I just need to back off a little bit, get away from the intensity of the online phenomenon that was going on in the community. And I'm really pleased I've done that, because it's allowed me to concentrate on what I need to do for my family and for me, and put the time and effort into that 6 months, I suppose. I put a lot of time and effort into learning and observing, and it's made me a little bit more aware of what I need to understand about markets, about people, to help me on my make better investment decisions. It's a strange one, it really is, that, because I miss it all. I so miss the early days of the community, I really do. But as soon as you start bringing in, it's a fine line. As soon as you start looking at whether it's a channel or a community group or whatever, as soon as you start introducing like the bigger rules, which you have to a degree, and it invokes on the freedom of how you want, as a member, how you want to be, that can become difficult, because you start to change the dynamics of the whole setup. And then when you bring, me and Stephen used to talk about this, and Stephen saw it so much in America in the early days. He said as soon as you get people coming in sponsoring and it starts to get more corporate-y, then the bias of the group can become more rule-based, corporate-based, and that isn't me. Maybe it would have been better if I was a lot younger. That's why I don't knock any of it, because it's all got value. But for me, it was just, nah, I don't need this. And so, I had to, I didn't have to, but I made a decision to pull myself away from the general trend of how the UK community was going, and get over my ego to a degree, and concentrate on what I need to do. And I did that. It still has been a crazy journey for me, it really has. And it probably is for everybody, to be fair. And, still got some good people that I talk to and thankful for. That's why I laid out all this stuff. I used to get a lot of support on Whisky Wednesday from a lot of people, but I know why people wanted exposure and all that. Well, that's fine, But I just saw things change a little bit, and it just wasn't deeply comfortable inside of me. So that allowed me to step away. It could be a good thing. It's obviously it was a good thing for me, because it's allowed me to just zoom out concentrate on things, and now allow me to sit and freely talk about my journey and try and help people that want help, and try and find people that, you know, are ready to maybe mix ideas at a level that I'm comfortable with. That sounds that isn't me saying I'm better than anyone or anything like that, because I'm not. I'm really not. But I think you have to find your groups and find where you are. It's a personal journey. It's not just about this stuff. It's about you as an individual and finding your sovereignty around your investing and stacking. And silver's helped me do that so much. It's more than just shiny, pretty pictures on a coin. It really is. If you allow it to consume you, it will. If you allow it to blind you, it will. If you allow it to take over, it will. And there's plenty of things out there that will willingly take you away from your purpose, if you know it or you don't. So that's what happened during 2025, early parts. Just made a break. But I do miss it, because I miss the interaction. But I'm getting older, things move on. So let's get back to the silver thing more. So what are my ideas going forward? Where silver's concerned, that's a great question. I've been asking myself that quite a bit lately. Now, obviously, silver has gone berserk this year. It's outpaced inflation, money debasement, big time. If you put it over, the year. Unfortunately, it hasn't. When you put it over a longer time period, as I said the other day, and on my blog, I think yesterday, I did some sums and some maths, and I sat there and I thought, whoa, what is my fair value belief of what 1 ounce of silver should be in my eyes in today's monetary terms, in the good old pound? And so you might have heard this on the blog. I did some mathematics, went back to 1980, the last time it peaked, measured from peak to peak, which is now basically. Did all the maths, used the inflation websites, all the good inflation stuff that maybe do not tell the full picture, but the Bank of England stuff. And yeah, I did the maths and it came out to £95. So for anyone that's interested in my point of view of what's going on at the moment, I have no idea. Now, you've got AI going berserk on the internet. It's becoming increasingly difficult to work out what's real, what isn't real. It's always been the case. As I was talking about that manipulation earlier, I had to learn about that and the banks and what they do and spoofing, all that stuff to keep value down for certain reasons, so they can make money, because that's what everyone does. It's really difficult because you've got a narrative that's very geopolitical, you've got a narrative that's very financial, you've got a narrative that's very war, you've got global narrative, you've got nation state narrative, you've got media sources that will tell you what they think or what they should be saying, whether that's right or wrong. You've got creators jumping on the bandwagon, you've got bullion dealers jumping on the bandwagon, everyone's trying to make a narrative, most of them are trying to make money out of you. And in all of that complete craziness, we have to make a decision as investors, stackers, collectors, whatever you want to call yourselves. We have to make a decision of, okay, what do I do now? What do I believe in? There's a really good reason why when I had poker chips made, it said trust nobody, verify everything. And it's probably one of the things that I constantly have to think about. Because everyone's got an agenda. I don't care who you are. You've heard me talk about this a zillion million times. But as far as silver's concerned, it's you've got this big AI narrative at the moment, which I presume was put together by a group of human beings, spinning a narrative that, when you really look at the logistics of it and the logic behind it, is making sense. But it's AI. Talking about this lovely stuff in physical form, in paper form. And you've still got the human people, the human creators, the human media talking about the same as well. Maybe a different message, maybe one's got more of a message, maybe one's got more. And silver has really, really highlighted what I've witnessed in crypto for years. Silver's is doing the same thing. Gold has had a brilliant year too. We'll talk about gold on another episode. But silver's the trend, But is it a trap? Is it truthful? Who do you trust? How do you make a justifiable risk assess strategy? Do I buy more? Do I not? Let alone when you look at cost of living, purchasing power. We're talking about almost £100 an ounce if you go through mainstream dealers, depending what you're buying, more, slightly under, 80 quid, even on the secondary market. People are wanting quite, fair play. People are trying to bust their gut to get as much fear out of everybody as possible. And there's us as like either a new investor or a seasoned investor. It's probably a little bit easier maybe for a seasoned investor, because they understand the process a little bit more and they're on their long-term goal. But for a new investor coming in or a new stacker collector, it's tough. And one of the toughest things is the price of the bloody stuff at the moment. And you're bombarded with people saying, "Oh, don't worry, it will burst." Well, when's it going to burst? When's the right time? Will it burst? Will it not burst? Will it be repriced? Will it be used for this? Will it be used for that? Have all the big industrial use people, are they willing to pay a higher price for silver now to make their products? Does it have a massive effect on the build of whether they're building a car or a solar panel or whatever? Some people say yes. Not a lot of people say, most people say no. Not a lot of people say it will. So there's a real good possibility then it's going to find its true value at long last within the area. But the financial the finance guys, the boys clubs, I'm going to let that go. They're in love with their beautiful fiat currencies. And, that's fine. It's fair enough. But as an investor, and I've got someone new coming on a series, and I was sitting there thinking about what would I do. It's a tough one, and I think now it comes down to the messages of what I've been putting across recently in my blogs. I think one of the most important things is to survive your current cost of living crisis. And this stuff, as lovely as it is, if you can afford to dip your toe in the pond and start something, and that's the most important thing. If you can afford it and it makes sense, then this small stuff is just as valuable as how I saw the bigger stuff just only 3 or 4 years ago. it's interesting, and I don't think I would discourage anybody from buying silver at the moment, but like I say, just be very cautious. Environmentally, we are witnessing such a big change in financial global situations, and there's a big game of chess going on globally. It's deep, it's lots of hours of understanding, but the most sensible thing is to keep yourself healthy and survive and look after your money. It's becoming scarce to the common man and woman. If you've only got to look at your pay packet at the end of the month, you've only got to look at your pay packet at the end of the month. What's it buying you? Hardly anything. All the conversations I'm having, still everyone's moaning about the cost of everything, and they're cutting back. I've noticed tradespeople in certain areas, especially around some of the cities, their workloads are going. Everyone's moaning about government. Everyone's fed up, and that's because the money's going bad on us. So, depending on your circumstances, I'd say the greatest advice I can give anybody is at this moment in time is to count your blessings that you can physically get around. Hug your children if you've got them. Hug your partner if you've got one. Wake up even. Walk. They're your blessings. They're your true blessings. This stuff has been around for God knows how long. Sitting in the ground, waiting to be found. It will survive. So you've got to take it on yourself to survive as well. And if you can afford to dip your toe in the pond and build something, if you're fortunate enough to be able to do that at this time of our lives, regardless of how old you are, within reason. And that's the most important thing. Have patience. This stuff will not make you rich. Now, I know some people will scream at that and go, well, it's made me really wealthy. Well, you're probably 0.000000001% of the world's population. If I relied on my silver stack, and I'm blessed to say that I'm rich, or it's going to give me the most fantastic, consumable, wonderful retirement, I am lying to you. Maybe I've got a chance with everything else I've done as well. I mean, it ain't going to be fantastic. It'll be okay. We've got to recognise where we are and who we are and what we're trying to achieve and how lucky we can be just by maybe buying some nice food down the shop at the moment. This stuff will always be here, and that's what I recognise. That's what I see in my silver now. I see it as a blessing. I see it as, yes, it was cool. I had my time. I continue to have my time with it, and it will be and play a nice part of my time while I still can appreciate it. Will I add to anything? Well, I when I look at the cost difference, no, I won't. If there's an opportunity within the silver market, and I really do believe that the money that I could invest into physical or even the paper version, what they call a paper version, not the futures or anything like that, just an ETF. If I can see that, then I'm going to go for the cheapest option. The cheapest option. If I see any deals, I'll go for the cheapest option. And that's how I treat it at this moment in time, because there's too much uncertainty around it all. There's too much greed, there's too much power struggles going on, and they're using all of this. And always remember, everybody is trying to get your silver off you or your fear off you. Important to remember that, because everyone's trying to survive. And that's fine. It is what it is. Never change. Will always be, because we've got money. So yes, where do I see silver in 2 years' time? You know, the simple answer to that now, after listening to that, me go on about me and my relationship to silver, is an ounce will still be an ounce in 2 years' time. But everybody wants to know the price. Well, I have no idea what that price will be. Potentially, if I sat down, I'm not going to share, I can't even give you a problemed risk assessed, because I haven't looked that far down the line, you know, because of everything I've just said. But off the top of my head, then, depending on economic circumstances, again, because that's what it all depends on, I do see a fair value price in front of us. But there's so much resting on it. Now, the geopolitical tension, possibly, if you're led to believe some of the narrative that's out there through mainstream, or even not mainstream. I think it's so uncertain. It's very difficult, because the money's becoming very, very politicised. It's making consistent thought and logic processes harder to work out, because there's always a, I don't know, factor. But yeah, it's got potential. I don't think it's got its true value. Are we ready to see that now? Well, there's a lot of indicators and a lot of information to say yes. But it will all depend on what the world want to do, what the world wants to do, what the powers to be, what the boys club want. As individuals, we all know what we want. We'd love to see £1,000 an ounce, £500 an ounce, £100 an ounce. But that's us. I've got no way of making that happen. And I'm not going to bet my house on that. Absolutely not. So it's an interesting time, which is why my blogs are saying, and just zoom out, sit back, let the games play out. If you can afford some silver, great. If you can't, wait. Look at other stuff. There's going to be opportunity once all this stuff is sorted out. The main thing is to stay healthy, well, love your family, love doing whatever you're doing. Make sure you can be as healthy as you can. Make sure you get good food inside you. Hang on to that job if you can. It's Whisky Wednesday, man. But that's my journey, that's my relationship with silver now. I love it. I think it's beautiful. It will stay a part of my investment portfolio, hopefully for as long as I can keep it there, and hopefully for my children to enjoy, my grandchildren to enjoy one day. And that's it. Other than that, Going to keep working. Blessed. Buckle down. Keep around people that aren't going to take my money, aren't going to farm me for stuff, aren't going to feed me just stuff I need to hear so I can give them money. Keep your sovereignty. Work at that. That's the way forward. And if this stuff helps you, then bingo. That's my journey. Could have gone more in depth, but I can't see the point really, because my journey is always going to be different to everyone else's. But the outcome, you know, getting back to one of the biggest things I said earlier is just moving yourself away from that constant what's it worth, what's it worth, what's it worth. It's worth 1 ounce of silver until the day that you depart with that 1 ounce of silver. And then for me, if I'm going to depart with that 1 ounce of silver, whatever I depart into has got to replace what that silver means to me, or be better. And at the moment, personally, I can't see what that is for me personally. For you guys, might be different. I hope you enjoyed that. That's a different type of Whisky Wednesday to how it used to be. Similar. That was episode 1. We'll talk about something else next week. We'll come up with some ideas. Again, please like, subscribe for more support to keep me going. I want your ideas. Give me your ideas. I'll mention you. You know, I'll say like you've sent this in and you want my view. I want to be pushed. I want to, you know, I've sat and learned. I think I've sat and learned. I like to say that. I think sat and learned a lot more constructive view of finance, of precious metals, I'm no expert in any of it. I don't want to be. Of different things I invest in. And I want to be able to bring that out to hopefully help people, and I can't do that if people don't engage. So hopefully you'll engage. If not, I'm going to have to think up of stuff, but please engage, and hopefully you've enjoyed that. Take good care of yourself. I finished my last bit of whiskey, which was very nice, Mr. Wilson, thank you. Not that he'll be watching this. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Take good care of yourself, look after yourself, keep healthy, keep wealthy. Always remember, love is king. Take care, see you soon, bye.